Hello, Alycats and new viewers. That was really weird. Today, I wanted to talk about my top 10 favorite horror films because it is becoming very close to Halloween now, and I do love me a good horror film. And just to be clear here, these are my top 10 favorites. They're going to differ from yours probably. There's probably going to be some that I don't mention that you adore. There's probably some I haven't seen that I would adore more than these, but I haven't seen them, so I can't include them on the list. You get the drift. It's my opinion. Take that with a grain of salt, as you will, but please sit back and enjoy. In no particular order, let's just get started with the films. The first one up is The Orphanage. The Orphanage was directed by Juan Antonio Bayona, and The Orphanage is about a couple who move into an abandoned orphanage and decide to make it into a home for children who are mentally handicapped, like as a summer camp. And their own son, Tomas, is sick himself. He doesn't realize it. And he is also adopted, which he does not realize. And one day, after hosting a party, their son goes missing. And the whole time, the mom is convinced that there's ghosts in the house, that the ghosts have kidnapped her son. And her husband and everyone else is convinced that she had something to do with it or that he ran away. It's just a very chilling movie. It's more psychologically chilling than actual horror. But there are a few really good jump scare moments, and there's definitely a very tense feeling, and you want to know what has happened to Tomas, and you feel so bad for his mother, who is played perfectly by Charlie Chaplin's daughter. And it's such a beautiful film. This was produced by Guillermo del Toro, so you know it's beautiful. J.A. Bayona did a fantastic job directing this. This has a gut punch of an ending, and I highly recommend it. You do have to read subtitles, but it's highly worth it. Next up is Alien, the first film. It's more scary than the sequels, in my opinion, because in the first Alien, they're aboard the Nostromo, and there's one xenomorph, and they never know where the alien is, and there's this growing sense of tension and dread, and you never know who's going to end up being picked off, and you don't know who's going to survive. The whole time, I was just like, please do not kill the cat. You can kill anybody but the cat. But I just remember having this feeling of dread and being on the edge of my seat, not knowing where the xenomorph was and who it was going to attack. And it's just such beautiful special effects work, and Ridley Scott did a fantastic job directing this and creating such a unique universe. And I just think the first Alien is a horror masterpiece. Some people would consider it more sci-fi. You can be the judge, but personally, it's one of my favorite horror films. Next up is The Silence of the Lambs. This is such an iconic film. To me, this isn't particularly scary. Some people find this terrifying, though. To me, it's more psychologically thrilling. Of course, this is the story of Clarice Starling, who is assigned to interrogate Hannibal Lecter, who is played by the magnificent Sir Anthony Hopkins. There's a serial killer called Buffalo Bill who is skinning women, and she interrogates Hannibal to try to figure out how a serial killer's mind works and how she can find Buffalo Bill through Hannibal's thinking processes. And along the way, she and Hannibal kind of develop a friendship, which is very odd, considering she is an FBI agent and he is a serial killer and a cannibal at that. And the thing is, even though there's a heavy emphasis on Hannibal Lecter as a character, he's not in this for very long. This is more of a focus on Clarice and her hunt for Buffalo Bill. And it's just such a masterpiece. Jonathan Demme directed a fantastic film. Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins gave amazing performances as Clarice and Hannibal. And if you haven't seen this yet, you definitely should watch it. Another horror movie I love is The Thing. I just recently saw this for the very first time. I know, shocking, but John Carpenter's The Thing is one of the best horror films I've ever seen. The practical effects still stand up today. They are amazing, and there's a sense of dread and tension, which there's kind of a theme running with these movies, I'm sensing. And you never know who's infected by the alien, who's suddenly going to erupt into this alien. And you don't know if everyone's infected, if no one's infected. As the movie goes along and people start to grow distrustworthy of each other, they start to grow wary of each other, and they're all trapped in this bunker. You get this feeling of claustrophobia, and it's just so chilling. As the movie goes on, I swore I got colder and colder in real life. I felt like I was freezing by the end of the film, and I felt like I was in a very small, confined space. That's how effective this film is. This is one of the best horror films with the best practical effects to date. Next up is The Cabin in the Woods. I adore this film. This was produced by Joss Whedon, which already has my stamp of approval, but it's a very tongue-in-cheek take on the horror genre. It's definitely very reminiscent of films like Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, stuff like that. A group of young adults are traveling to a cabin in the woods to have some fun, you know, have some premarital sex and all that stuff. But the thing is, they don't know that, spoiler alert, I don't even know if this is a spoiler, they're being sacrificed to the gods, and they're supposed to be picked off one by one, and every action they do determines how they die. And it's just so much fun. I've seen it 4 times now and it never gets old, and I just think it's a very smart film, and I do recommend watching this if you haven't seen it yet. Even if you're not a horror fan, this isn't really scary. It's more gory than anything, but it's so smart, so tongue-in-cheek, and I just adore it. Next up, I have to give major love to the first Hellraiser. Hellraiser focuses on a girl whose family moves to an ancestral home, and then when they get there, her dead uncle is resurrected and he's all meat. He's just meat and blood and ugh. And her mom falls in love with him. And as they go along, he requires more and more fresh blood. And as they go along, more people end up dying and he becomes more whole. And you see the Cenobites for the first time, and it's just so over the top, gory, and violent. But it's also got a message about family and about love, and it's just... It's really fucked up. It's good, okay? It scares my mom to death, so, yeah. Another film I really adore is The Sixth Sense. This is M. Night Shyamalan's best film to date, in my opinion. And this is the story of a young boy who, of course, can see dead people. I see dead people. And his poor mom doesn't know what's going on. She's wondering if this is just a mental thing. And if you don't know the twist to this story, I won't spoil it for you, but The Sixth Sense is so moving and so emotional. It's not just a horror film, it's also a family film. Not like typical family watch it with a family film, but like it's about a family. And it's just so well written, so well acted. Bruce Willis is amazing in his role. Haley Joel Osment was so adorable. What happened to you, kid? And Toni Collette was great as the frazzled mother. Next up, my 2 absolute favorite horror movies of all time. First up is Scream. Scream is, of course, Wes Craven's tongue-in-cheek approach at the horror genre, kind of making fun of it. It's set in Woodbury and focuses on the lives of Sidney Prescott and her friends. One day, this killer, who is called Ghostface, just comes and starts killing people, and you soon find out why the killer is killing these people, and you figure out who it is by the end. But it's always so much fun to watch a Scream film, but Scream 1 in particular was just so good, and it was so shocking for its time. That opening sequence with Drew Barrymore is so iconic, and there are so many laughs in the film, but there are also so many moments where it makes you gasp, and there are so many amazing kills in Scream, and finding out who Ghostface was so satisfying. I just love it. I can never get enough of Scream. I can watch it over and over and never be tired of it. And lastly, the film that is tied with Scream for my favorite horror film of all time is, of course, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger is one of my favorite slashers ever. I just adored the first film. I love the cast. Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson was fantastic. And I love seeing Johnny Depp in his first film role. And just Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund was amazing. The kills are fantastic in the A Nightmare on Elm Street series, but the kills in the first movie are particularly brutal. You get to know the backstory of Freddy in the first film. It's the best out of the series, in my opinion, and I think it's a must-watch for anyone who wants to watch horror films. Like, if you're nervous about seeing horror films, watch A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's not as scary today as it was when it first came out, because, let's be honest, it's kind of more funny than anything, but it's still a really good slasher film, and it holds a very special place in my heart. So those are my top 10 horror films of all time. Let me know what yours are in the comment box down below. Like the video if you liked it. Share the video if you liked it, because that helps me out a ton. And don't forget, if you're not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, because I'd love to have you as part of the Alycat family. If you'd like to follow me on social media or check out my website, all my links are down below in the description box. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. Peace and kisses. Bye.